Data is the new oil. This term, credited to a British mathematician Cliff Hamby, was coined almost 2 decades ago, back in 2006. But when we think about data, first things that comes to mind is actually this elusive, kind of mysterious term, big data, something that we attribute to big tech companies and, marketing moguls and whatever they do with information they collect on their customers. But what if I tell you that there is a way for even small companies to actually pull value from the data that they collect on an everyday basis, even unconsciously? The question is, where to start? And that's something that we will be discussing today. Welcome to TechNouns, podcast by Inwedo, where we ventures through business galaxies. Today, I'll be traveling with Dominik Goss, CEO of Inwedo Group. Hi, Dominik. It's actually really funny that I'm welcoming you here in this studio that you created, because it's kind of like, your place.
It's our place. Thank you for being here and also for the introduction. I think that I started and then we created the studio was especially for that, to sharing knowledge, to talking about different inspiration, and even showing different perspective, and even especially what was important for me, to talking with different person that can inspire us.
Great. I'm really happy that I can be here. And I know that there will be a new studio coming up in future episodes, maybe. I don't know which one, but I'm really excited as well. But let's focus on the topic of our today's podcast. And then first things first, what are we talking about when we say data? So what kind of data is there actually in typical enterprise or a typical company? And is every information collected by a business actually valuable data already by its own?
I think that first, it's important to know or raise a think about that everything is important. And what happened today, when we run any kind of business, we already gather different kinds of information, or information that is connected with different times and different part of our processes. Like the first part, when we looking or talking with the customers, then the second part when we build something, produce or sell. And of course, and the third part, when we provide the customer support, we talk, or even we do some kind of maintenance or improvement. And it's of course regarding with any kind of business.
Okay, so that's a lot of data, like terabytes of data. I even heard someone saying, I cannot make an accurate quote right now, but what we will leave behind as modern society is terabytes and terabytes of digital noise and data that we leave behind. So I guess it's really difficult actually to kind of make sense out of it and pull the value. So that's my question, how to actually bring value, extract value from this data. Let's say there is a CEO of a small company, and if he wants to get to know more about what he's doing and get the value, does he or she need to understand exactly what's happening, get a full view of every data information that's going through the company? Do they need to make a top-notch game plan to actually start working with data? Is it really that complicated? Or maybe there is a way to kind of flip it and reverse this top-down approach into more bottom-up?
We're living in the times that are very good times. Like 2 or 3 years ago, the problem was how to get data, where it came from, how to spend less time to gathering data. Like very often, like 3-4 years ago, we have to write something by ourselves to put to the system and hope that in the future it will bring some knowledge, some prediction. But now we are living in times that we already have so much data about everything. So the challenge one is, what kind of question we want to ask, and then find the answer. And you answer from the business perspective. If I already have a lot of data, should I put a lot of time to think what kind of answer or result should I get? Or maybe there's a different way. I strongly believe there are two ways. One is, of course, this one. And the second is like, share your data with the data scientist team that have a knowledge and knowledge about different kind of businesses, different market areas.
Okay.
And it's really good in connecting the dots, and because then he will ask a few questions to you as a CEO of organization, small, big, whatever, and he will look into the data and first find the patterns in the data. Also will do a lot of very important findings. What I call findings is something that is not obvious, but when you look at the data, this is obvious.
Okay.
And this good team will be able to get back and say, okay, it's this kind of process, or this process of production, or this process of selling, or this process of customer satisfaction looks from your perspective, and this how it looks from your data.
Yeah.
It's valid, it's the true, it's the same, or there's some misconception, or there's something totally different. And very often what the good team will also find some what it could be called a black swans or some kind of anomaly, and it's important and it's not.
Okay.
And very often this, I love to call it the findings, because very often when we talk with our partners, with our clients, they say, oh, wow, we didn't know that.
That's really interesting when you think about it from this point of view, because like a decade ago, or maybe a bit even farther behind, a lot of people were already talking about AI and what you can do with like data, but usually really behind all this talk and buzzwords, there were a lot of if formulas stuck on top of each other. So. Yeah. Somebody had to think about what is going to happen and kind of like design the whole way of data and information going through specific and designed pathways. But right now we can actually reverse it, right? We can just take data, look into that and say, okay, like let's start from this. Let's start from the top, from the bottom, and then go to the top.
To be more precise, maybe I will recover one of example.
Yeah.
Imagine that you are a CEO or team leader or leader of teams, and you have to prepare a project idea, project description, or you have to describe the process. So very often you have to go to different team members, different teams, and gather all the information, gather all the knowledge, or the expertise. For example, let's assume that you are maybe a owner of a company that produce movies or even sci-fi effects for the movies. Very often there are actors, there are scenes, there are cameras, whatever. And when you, almost in any kinds of business, you have to prepare a project. You have to prepare an offer to your customers, to the well-known director, for example. Yeah. And then what happened? You very often, one way you can create, okay, this process looks like this. If there are 1 or 2 cameras, it will be this cost. If there will be inside or outside, it will multiply by this. And of course, it's possible to do. But what if you are already running this business for years and you got this information already, like the offers, all the scenes, how many cameras, how many actors, whatever, and of course the cost of the scene. And when you will use it to train the model, the machine learning, AI, whatever model, then it appears that the process is already there. So you can create a model that will know that if there are 2 cameras and it's inside, it is this cost. If there were 10 actors, it will this cost, but if the actor number will increase to 20, it will multiply by this.
Okay, great. I mean, that saves a lot of thinking. And I mean, I used to be a PhD candidate, so kind of like thinking about data was a big challenge for me when it comes to like, designing the whole process. I had to think what I want to study, how I want to approach it, what to do, like design whole process. And you're talking about like, let's use what we already have, crunch the numbers through some smart model or AI, and we will get the answers. We will see what we are looking for.
And I still love it to call it a starting point. Because for one perspective, then of course it takes also time to work together as a partners to tweak it up. to make it better.
Yeah.
But it also brings the findings, like it called before, that there was something that we'll call about your business. Maybe that you can improve on your side
Yeah.
to make it better.
That's great.
Not the model. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, the business.
Yeah. That's great. So the data, if used correctly, they can actually say a lot.
Yeah.
And they can help improve a lot of things. So we already know that data can, provide a lot of answers. But I think the most important question is where to start. Like, what kind of steps, if you had to describe a few and make it compact, what kind of steps would the CEO, maybe director, or anyone running a business would have to make to actually start working with data? What's the process here?
First, I think that's important to sit down and think about the question, think about the challenges that we are currently forcing, and then put it down the thoughts, maybe the ideas. Then, of course, if you have time and possibility, talk with your team members, and that's enough.
Okay.
It could be really a raw meeting note, and then try to find a good partner that could start from this. Because the good partner on the other side, the data partner, will be able to ask the right question, will be able to guide you in the right way. And even I think that's what is very important are the two things. First, to ask the right question and also recommend and say that we should concentrate on this, not on this. Especially now where all the hype about AI, generative AI, all the possibilities, it's happening. It's great because it's a definite increase the development, but it's important to take the wise decision. Like very often concentrating on one process, one part of the process, and improving it. It could bring 80%, like the old Pareto rule.
Oh, yes.
And of course, from this point, we can go to the next one. And of course, if I will be on the other side and looking for the right partner, I will ask first question, how does the partner communicate? Because still the data could tell a lot of things, but building something together is always based not only on skills, but also on communication.
Oh, yes.
So is the communication transparent? Did I get all the information, all the progress, what is where the partner succeeds and where it fails on the go, or it's like some kind of working on the black box where all this information or working on not working black box I will get on the end. It's not the way. So the communication, the transparent communication, asking the right question. And also what I really think that it's important about building a trust. And very often now, a lot of big portals even go this way, like data is already, who have data is a king.
Yes.
So also the best, not the best, the worst, but the easy ways from the partner perspective will be creating a vendor log. Like, okay, give me your data. I will analyze it. I will create a model. I will give you the model.
Yeah.
But everything will be mine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so if you will, as a client, decide in the future after 2 or 3 years, especially now where all this what happens and about machine learning, big data, AI, each week brings something new. Especially when it's very possible that after 2 years you will decide to take your data, the training data even, and put it to different partner, to different model.
Yeah, that's
And
a
if
problem.
the partner that you started working today will create a lock, a vendor lock, how it's very often called, you will be not able to. And from my perspective and how we used to work is that, of course, we work on your data and the partner should have to work on your data, but your data are still your data. And how they are clean up, how are they prepared, and how before they go to the model, you can. I think that should be how I call it. It should be a democratizing the data world. Like your data are your data. So if the partner is working with you, but you can always take your data with you, it's a good starting point for building the trust and working together for a long time.
Yeah, that's probably something that not a lot of people think about at the beginning, because it's a new topic. As we already discussed, no, that CEOs, directors, they don't have to be experts on data, so they may actually miss that point. But there's one other thing that comes to mind when we talk about relations with the vendor. What about the data security? Because some data might be sensitive, and I'm not only talking about the GDPR protecting personal data, but also, I don't know, financial data, anything that the
Definitely.
company wants to actually protect because it's their trade secrets, and rightly so. They actually, may be very may be harmed by losing this data. So how to train the models, how to start collaboration without jeopardizing this sensitive information?
First, you have to check the partner, how he approached the data. Is the data that it's your data will be used to train only your models, or maybe it will be used to train the
Other models.
our models? And of course, if you decide yes, maybe it's also some kind of price bonus, but it have to be decided at the beginning. So definitely, if it's your data and it's your model, it's only your model.
Okay.
That's first thing. The second, look in the process. How does it look like? How they work? How do they work? How do they write the documentation?
Okay. Yeah.
Who have access to the data, and how it's even if it's even put some kind of data log, like who access, who do what, and so on.
Yeah.
It builds trust. And what else? You can always use some kind of way to still have the data, leave all the important patterns to be found inside, but remove the names, for example, of the clients.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
even you can even change, of course, it will some kind of simplicity, but you can change the numbers, but still secure the same pattern. So not
Okay.
changing, for example, let's take the offers and the numbers
Yeah.
and the names of the clients. You change the names of the clients, and then you don't have to change the offers, every offer to $1, because there will be no pattern.
No, the data will be lost.
Yeah, but there are already ways to change also the numbers, but to save the patterns. So still the data scientists could find the patterns, but there will be no exactly the same data as normal.
Okay, and no sensitive information will be revealed or at risk.
Yeah, so it could be one of the steps at the beginning of the work, at the beginning of the data preparation.
Okay, that's very interesting. I actually well, the more I talk about it, the more I learn. So that's really, really interesting for me.
It's so wide. It's so the great topic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a very, very hot topic right now. So we talked a little bit where to start. So let's focus on the tools right now, because that's something I guess it's really interesting as well. What kind of tools can be used to extract this value from data? Because I imagine that building a model from the grounds up or building a language learning model, that's a really big investment. That takes a lot of time. That's something only some companies at this point can afford. So what's there on the market? What kind of tools can be used, and how to actually use them to the fullest? Do you have any insights?
There are different ways to approach that. Of course, one is building from scratch.
Yeah.
It takes time, but of course, it takes time also to gather, and we already talked that there are a lot of information already there, but gather and clean up the information. It's very important before you starting building the model. And of course, what it takes much more time, even it's working together.
Okay.
It takes even weeks, days, weeks, even a few months to get exactly to this prediction or the result, the accuracy that we want. So there are different ways that we can start. Very often we can connect different dots. There are already different kind of tools on the market that are addressed to analyzing the numbers, and of course to analyzing the text. So like ChatGPT, Llama 2, they are very often the most popular now, I can say it that way. And it could help. Even imagine that, of course, every one of us already know that we can use ChatGPT or Llama 2, for example, to make some kind of post, some kind of text, even to help onboarding our employees. But also we can use it to provide the better data. And for when I'm thinking about it, it's not so obvious example, but imagine that a lot of us in a lot of companies, of course, we use customer relationship management software it's able to or should help us to provide better experience for our customers, the new ones, and the already we have. But it also takes a lot of time to put this information in the system.
Oh, yes. I'm speaking for experience. Yes, it does.
Like, of course, then what happens, you have to shift time from thinking about customers, about needs and how we can create, connect, and provide better offer, better products, better service, and just talking and listening the clients. You have to shift your time working in sales to filling the information in.
Yeah.
And so what happened if we use this, let's ChatGPT, Llama, whatever, to analyze all our meeting notes one-on-one with our customers, even a phone calls.
That would be amazing.
And then starting from this, I mean, of course, we can connect it more. We can connect with already the offer that we already sent, or some kind of our standard how we prepare the offer. And this is the great starting point.
It is a great starting point. When I think about like filling the data or even taking the notes, because on the market there are also tools that can take the notes automatically, so there can be connections and integrations between different tools that can make this process even faster. And on one hand, it's a little bit scary. And I did have another episode with Dominik Goss about AI and job market and communication as well. And we talked a little bit about replacing people's jobs with AI. So on one hand, it might be scary because some jobs and some tasks will be automated. So are we even needed? But on the other, as you say, it's more of a way to save time and shift the focus into doing more important things. So in this way, I'm all in. It's a perfect way to use those models.
I strongly believe that AI and the time that's happening now is that time that if we do it right, we could be more human. We could have more time to talk each other.
I'm gonna write down this quote. By using AI, we can be more human and have more time to be human. Okay, so we talked about how, and we talked about where to start, but let's maybe talk a bit about why, because if we're talking about making investment into the data project, even if there is no, custom model involved and it's not that big of an investment, it still requires some funds. So what are the reasons why, kind of as a summary, because we already touched some different areas in that matter, and maybe there are some less known whys and less known benefits of actually looking into data and starting using it.
First, it could answer the question like we mentioned before. It provides you answer, but it very often will provide some findings that wasn't so obvious. And even more, what is important and definitely obvious, working on this model, analyzing the data, providing it, and preparing, very often the good data science teams will do something like anomaly detection. Like will find, and then of course it should talk it about, ask it's important or not, it's some kind of new trends or just outliner or then one day or one moment anomaly. And it's something that is not obvious, but it provides a lot of information, and it's also help in business decision. Like imagine that you're building a production prediction model that should predict how many items should be produced this day to fulfill the orders, whatever, especially when you have to start the production before the orders came in. And of course, at the end of the day, you want to all orders to be filled.
Yeah.
And very often, when we work as a human, even there's a lot of experience, very often something could happen, one event, and we then decide to change the trends, decide to change our prediction. And if we do it manually, we will change the manual prediction. So the result will be much more far from the right number of
course.
goods produced. And when we look from the data science perspective, he could say, okay, it's an anomaly, one-time event. We don't have to think about it.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, and very often when the team is working on the data, of course, it's working on past data, and it could bring this kind of findings from the past and get, okay, 1 year ago there was number 100 more goods that were produced, and it was anomaly.
Yeah.
And then it's important or not.
Yeah. This is something I know from my university because I did have statistics, but at the time it didn't seem that thrilling, I would say, because it just using Excel to kind of calculate that and look into data. At that point, it didn't seem like, this will be the future. This will be something that almost every company will have to do, look into their data, know what's an outlier, or even not know, but just have tools to kind of, identify them, because otherwise bad decisions can be made, and bad decisions may cost money, jobs, and even the whole business. So yeah, that's really, really interesting when you think about the times that we are living in right now and the importance of data.
It was always possible. This was possible for a long time now, but the problem is that you have to need more people, more employees.
Yeah, to
And
calculate
more tools,
that by hand.
more Excels to calculate. And now you can use this so powerful science combined together, use the power of the computers, the processors, and find more findings, find more outliners.
Great, just automatically.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really exciting. So I guess that summarizes the reasons why. And I guess it kind of also points out that if businesses don't start investing in that and don't start looking into data, they may be left behind. They may miss out on a lot of things.
Definitely, especially now when the big data science is one thing, but also the natural language understanding or processing LLMs like ChatGPT, whatever. Imagine that. I will bring one example also to the summary. Imagine that when we prepare for a proof of concept, a model that the role was to predict the price or flat or house. And we start with the assumption.
It's a very hot topic in Poland right now, so yeah.
Oh, you see. So, but we start with the assumption that we start with the flat or house description, and only it will take 160 first charts. Imagine that we were able to create a model based only on, we started with 50,000 examples, data records, and the model was able to predict the price of the flat with 90% accuracy. So 9 of 10 prediction was the right one. And when we move there, to this LM model, we add data like the number of square meters or number of bathrooms, and it increased to 91 and 92%. So imagine how powerful the natural language processing model could be.
That's amazing. I mean, I know this topic from her first-hand experience because I did a lot of research and looked into a lot of advertisements, of course, manually, to kind of get to know the market and decide, okay, this is the price I'm ready to pay for the apartment. And with like inflation, with changing situation, market economy just fluctuating, it's becoming more and more difficult to kind of be informed and know what kind of decisions are the right ones. And because the number of data that we have to process, it's huge. And then using those language models and using those tools, we can not only make those decisions faster, but we are also more certain that they're the right ones, that we're not missing something. And that's really great. It may help in so many areas of life. So I know that we could talk about this topic for like another hour or so, and maybe we should make another episode as well. But kind of like to summarize, what kind of advice would you give to someone who just wants to start getting to know the AI, getting around this world, and well, most importantly of all, how to kind of stay up to date, how to keep up with all the information
It's
and
hard.
everything that's changing? Yeah.
It's hard. But first, I think that I will start from looking and reading the information, the reports very often provided by the top on the market.
Okay.
Like
And who's up on the
OpenAI,
market? Yeah.
Meta, or even reading Medium. I really encourage to read Medium. It's really good, especially at the data science. There are a lot of great articles and different perspective from the very tech detail perspective, also from the high, the big picture perspective. That's very important. And also, I will encourage you to ask questions, to talk with partners, to talk with them, ask, and get knowledge from different perspective, especially when the words of AI, of generative AI, of them change every week.
Oh, yes. It does. We experienced that
Yeah.
because we wanted to talk about a totally different topic today. And about 2 weeks ago, we found out that it's actually, it's outdated what we want to talk about. It's no longer valid. So yeah, it changes so fast with the updates in the existing tools, with new tools coming up. So thank you so much for recommendations. I think that should be a good starting point of diving deeper into the topic of AI. I'm quite sure that maybe there already are, or there will be some AI tools that will summarize knowledge on the AI as well, just to help us out. There are already some, yeah, because it's so much going on. Right. So I have one more finishing question. One more. That's the last one, because I want to ask this question to every guest as a kind of recommendation.
Cool.
Yes. So, well, our motto at Inwedo is "Go Beyond." You know it. You coined it when you go under. And we have this whole topic and motive of space exploration and astronauts. So, of course, I have to ask a question. Do you have a favorite sci-fi series or movie?
Of course. First, I love all the books from Isaac Asimov.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
I'm a Robot. Already there was a movie and now it's a foundation on Apple TV Plus. But I think that Asimov put a lot of right question about AI, the 3 rules of robotics.
Yes.
It's so up to date now.
Yes.
But the movie, the first, Back to the Future, especially the second part. And the last, from the science perspective, I love watching Star Trek when I was young, and I still very often get back to, especially to look what kind of today's things we have, and they were inspired by this Star Trek sci-fi
by the
series.
science fiction series. Yes, I used to read the Polish writer Lem a lot, and he also had some really cool predictions about the future and the innovations we're gonna make. But the most like thrilling and thought-giving books and topics were the times when like he or other writers were actually thinking about how the society will look like, what kind of questions will be posed, and as you mentioned with the kind of thinking about AI, how we will communicate with it, what our lives will look like. It's really interesting, and I hope we will go this good path because there are also a lot of post-apo topics around rogue AIs, but let's hope that we'll not go this way. But
Definitely.
Thank you so much for our podcast today. It was a real pleasure talking to you, and I hope we will do this again.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.